Lit terms, Caitlin Peetler and Katie Amendola. Local color, the customs, manner of speech, dress, or other typical features of a place or period that contribute to its particular character. An example of local color is in Mark Twain's The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. Twain uses the local dialect description of the way Huck dresses, Jim's dialect, and the description of the towns Huck visits on his journey along the river to depict the local color. This is seen on the first page in the first line when Twain says, "You don't know about me without you have read a book by the name of The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, but that ain't no matter." A way to remember local color is the way the local people dress, the way the local people talk, the way the local people act, and the local features. Loose sentence. A loose sentence, also called a cumulative sentence, begins with the main clause that is followed by phrases and/or clauses that modify the main clause. These phrases or clauses add information to the main or independent clause. In case you didn't know, a clause is a unit of grammatical organization next below the sentence in rank, and in traditional grammar said to consist of a subject and predicate. An example of loose sentence is, the lit term test is in a few days, and it is important to study. To prepare, you should study Quizlet, make flashcards, and play the Kahoot. A way to remember loose sentences: don't lose an argument. Use a loose sentence to prove your point by adding examples to your sentence. Lyric poem. An emotional rhyming poem, a short poem written in song-like quality. An example of lyric poem is Why Do Birds Sing by Robert William Service. Let poets piece prismatic words, give me the jewel joy of birds. What ecstasy moves them to sing? Is it the lyric glee of spring, the dewy rapture of the rose, it the worship born in those who are of nature self apart, the adoration of the heart? A way to remember lyric poem is, if it sounds like a song and when you read it you sing the poem in your head, it's a lyric poem.
Irony. The expression of one's meaning by using language that normally signifies the opposite, typically for a humorous effect, such as verbal, situational, and dramatic irony. Verbal irony. Irony in which a person says or writes one thing and means another, or uses words to convey a meaning that is the opposite of the literal meaning. Situational irony. An outcome that turns out to be very different from what was expected. The difference between what is expected to happen and what actually does. And dramatic irony. The irony occurring when the implications of a situation, speech, etc. are understood by the audience but not by the characters in the play. An example would be in Ghosts. Irony is used when Mrs. Alving decides not to purchase insurance for the orphanage in fear of looking unfaithful, when hours later the orphanage burns down. A way to remember is if you think it could never happen and it does, it's irony. Juxtaposition. To place two contrasting concepts, characters, ideas, or places near or next to each other so that the reader will compare and contrast them. An example would be in Act 5 of A Midsummer Night's Dream. Merry and tragical, tedious and brief, that is hot ice and wondrous strange snow. A way to remember is the positioning of something next to something else just to draw a comparison is a juxtaposition, or a juxtaposition of words. Lie totes. An understatement that uses negation to express a positive. An example would be, the essay on thoughtful laughter yesterday was not too bad. A way to remember was, if it's not a total lie, but it's understated and negated, it's a lie tote.